796-5555, Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Welcome into a Sunshine Turf Friday edition of Helmets and Heels. Our weather is beautiful, and in case you're wondering, here's the weather over in London. High of 55 degrees today, low of 38. And then on Sunday, when the Jaguars take on the Bears, it will be a high of 53, low of 40 there in Tottenham Hotspur. And
That's
there
home
the
for
roof
Chicago.
is open.
That's home for Chicago.
That is much more Chicago weather than it is Jacksonville weather, at least this time of year.
What's funny enough is that I swore Frank Frangie came in our office, and Taylor, you still may have been on your way back from Chicago on Monday when he said this, that it was scheduled to rain almost every day that the Jaguars are there. I don't know. I looked on the IG pages for a couple of the players who posted today that the Jags did safely arrive across the pond this morning, and it looked pretty darn sunny. Demetrius Harvey posted another photo, not a cloud in the sky. So, I listen, maybe the forecast shifted a little bit, much like Hurricane Milton shifted a little bit south.
I see a chance of rain in London on Saturday, and then next week, Wednesday and Thursday, and then again next Sunday. So, it obviously, as we know, forecasts are constantly changing.
Hourly.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, you have to stay on top of it. But either way, it is certainly chilly. I saw the matching sweatsuits that the Jaguars got for their trip over there to London. So hopefully they had a very calm, smooth, safe flight. They got out there right after Milton passed through here, and so all is well. You want to talk some Jags-Bears with our first guest, Taylor?
Let's do it.
Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
All right, now we are joined by the absolutely wonderful Courtney Cronin. She covers the Chicago Bears for ESPN. Courtney is currently in London, so thank you, Courtney, for joining us from across the pond.
Yeah, of course. Thank you both for having me.
We really appreciate it. I know you're very, very busy as of lately, but let's go ahead and start with that travel. The Bears left for London Monday night. The Jags left for London last night. The Bears kind of figured out the last couple times that they went that they wanted to alter the travel plans a little bit from previous years. And so now practice took place like normal today. How did it seem? How did players seem? Everybody already seem acclimated to everything and the time change, jet lag, all of that?
I think so, because for those of us who traveled in kind of on the same schedule as them, it takes a couple days to get your body acclimated to, feel it's cold over here. Like, it's much colder than it was in Chicago. And on top of that, like, you're dealing with a 6-hour time change. It was, I'm not really sure what Jacksonville's deal was. I understand the hurricane, regardless, pushed things back. But to not leave earlier in the week when they've done this trip so often, I think it just shows you there are a lot of teams who want to leave at the end of the week and think that they can just kind of pull that off. Take a look at how the Jets was last week. They came the same time that I believe that Jacksonville was coming in, Thursday, Friday, and they looked awful. I think it really helps teams when you have expensive, obviously, ownership's got to be on board for moving your entire football facility from a football operations to business operations, by and large, to medical, all of that overseas. But if you're going to be here for 2 weeks, I think it'd make a whole heck of a lot of sense to get over here and get acclimated as quickly as you could.
Hey, Courtney, it's Mia. Thanks so much for joining us, especially across the pond. I will note on that front that Doug Peterson, even when the Jaguars played the Chargers 2 years ago, the Jaguars flew out on Saturday. It's something with the Jaguars' philosophy and their training staff, this idea of, we're going to basically make it such a quick trip so that you don't even register, your body doesn't even recognize fully that you've traveled multiple time zones. So they've done it each of the past, 10 years? Mm-hmm. So it'll be curious to see if it pays off once again for the Jaguars this go round. What I'm curious of, speaking of the Jaguars previously playing in London, man, oh man, if there's one tweet that you have sent, with all due respect of all the tweets you've sent since you got there, the big dog Mercedes Lewis about to play his 6th game in London. Walk us through the vibes, the emotions of this team as they get set for this game, and the big dog in particular.
Yeah, I thought it's fascinating how many times he's been over here, 19 seasons in the NFL, and he's played most of them in Jacksonville. This was a home away from home, so to speak. But his best game, I believe it was in Green Bay, came a couple years ago when he was over here, and he had 3 touchdowns. And so there's always that nostalgic feel of getting to go back to the place where, you shine the brightest. But he's been through this. So I think for someone like that to really buy into the way that the Bears are doing it, I think some of the younger players can follow suit with that too. And it's given them, like, they're out in this town called Ware. It's north of London, about an hour and a half, and there's not much around it. So it's a good chance for a team that, is trying to get on track. They're at 3-2 right now, trying to be 4-2 by the time the bye week rolls around. It gives them a good chance to bond away from practices, stuff that you normally don't get to do when you're inside the wall of the team facility back at home, and then you go home afterwards. So I thought that was kind of my biggest takeaway from hearing him today, just talk about his experience that he's had with this. And I do think that, like, having the entire week out here is to that benefit. I can understand not trying to, change too much in the middle of the season. Obviously, the Bears have their bye next week, so that helps for, being acclimated back into, life when they get back to the United States. But it's certainly interesting to see the people who have done it before, and also like the first timers. But there's a lot of first timers on this roster, and it's not exactly. It's not like the youngest team like Green Bay in the NFL. Like, they've got some veterans here who are getting to do this for the first time, and I think that that's to their advantage to get to spend this extra time together.
Certainly it is. Courtney, when you look at the Bears secondary, they've been really good this season. Bears have the sixth best passing defense in all of the NFL, but they do have a couple guys either out or doubtful for this week. How does that secondary try and cover Brian Thomas Jr.?
I think it's going to be tough if they Tyreek Stevenson. He's doubtful for the game on Sunday. He's got a calf injury that popped up yesterday, so that's not a great sign. It's their number 2 corner. It's their boundary corner. So a lot of times, Jalen Johnson's playing the field. Quarterbacks, no matter how good they are, don't want to target him. He's got one of the lowest passer ratings against of any cornerback in the NFL. There's a reason he was an all-pro guy last year. So without Tyreek Stevenson on the other side, that's probably Jalen Jones, somebody who knows the defense really well, being here for 3 years. But that's not a matchup that I think the Bears would be thrilled to go ahead and field over their starting corner. And they're also going to be without safety Jaquan Brisker. On the back end, he's got a concussion, so he's actually back in the United States. They didn't travel him. So, to cover the number 1 receiver on Jacksonville with, kind of a lot of moving parts on the back end of the defense, I think is going to be a challenge that, they're going to have to figure out what they do in these next 48 hours. Because I don't think they were certainly not anticipating Stevenson being down, but of course, that was an injury that popped up in practice and something that they now have to game plan around, knowing that they've done a good job on the back end against the pass. And we know they have not given up that many explosives, but when you're down 2 starters, that makes everything naturally more challenging. So that's something that they're going to have to work around.
Courtney Cronin of ESPN joining us. She covers the Chicago Bears now in London right now, getting ready for that game. Courtney, I've talked a lot the last couple weeks, especially about the progression, the development of Caleb Williams through these first 5 weeks. And I've shared my opinion on what I think has grown the most, what I've noticed. In your opinion, what has stood out the most to you and Caleb over these first 5?
Well, number 1 is he's more comfortable. And, what does that mean? Well, it means that his footwork isn't rushed when he's dropping back to pass. And, the timing of throws. We saw, some of the frustrations between himself and DJ Moore get smoothed out after those two were able to connect in the second half of the Rams game and then the 2 touchdowns they had in the first half last week. It's things that you expected to come along maybe a little bit more quickly, and maybe that's unfair because people see a team that had been in training camp since July 20th because they had the Hall of Fame game and expected it to come along more, just quicker than it did from the onset. I think that this takes time. He's a rookie quarterback in a brand new offense. This is an offense brand new to all but about, 4 or 5 players who had been with Shane Waldron before at different stops. Of course, it's a West Coast scheme, so it's got the same principles that the Bears had last year under Luke Getsy, but it's all new. And so naturally, if things are all new in a pro-style offense, which is not what they're doing in Washington, which is why I think it's kind of an unfair comparison, they're asking him to do a lot. Takes a lot of time. It takes time to learn how to do a lot and to learn how to do it effectively. And through 5 weeks, they finally got the run game going. They didn't run it well weeks 1 and 2. Matt Eberflus was very blunt in his assessment when he was asked about it today. Probably the most honest we've heard, that was not something they did well at all. Once that started to click a little bit more, week 4, give Caleb Williams some run support and open things up for him, in the passing game, it felt like they were starting to build their identity. Now, can they consistently get DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze involved on top of what they were doing to feed DeAndre Swift? That's going to be the telltale sign as to what this offense is going to become and the effectiveness of it this year based on how the next couple games play out. Because we saw glimpses of it by and large throughout the Panthers game. Granted, it's a 32nd ranked pass defense. They're 29th, or they were, against the run. Not the hardest opponent, but as they start seeing more difficult opponents, how are those numbers going to translate will be the big question to determine just how successful Caleb can be this year.
You can find her on X at Courtney R. Cronin. Of course, does a great job covering the Chicago Bears for ESPN. A couple more for her on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Another injury update, Courtney, that Matt Eberflus gave you guys this morning across the pond. Tevin Jenkins was limited today. He is questionable for Sunday. What are your expectations for an offensive line that gave up 14 sacks through the first 3 games of the season and just 4 through the last 2?
They made a lot of changes, and I think, certainly they had to. Remember, Ryan Poles, the GM, going into the year was touting how he's never had depth like this before, and then right away they have to, figure out how to use it because Nate Davis just was not a viable option for them as their starting right guard, so they tabbed Matt Pryor for that job. Now, Davis had a groin injury, but he's healthy now and he's a backup. He's making a lot of money to be a backup, but they're okay with that. I think some of these decisions that they've made up front to give Caleb Williams a deeper pocket and better pass protection come with just ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, hey, I understand that this guy might not have been the best that we had, but he fits here in this combination. So it's why you saw Bill Murray, who kind of hung around a little bit. Same thing with, their backup center in Doug Kramer, who was used as a fullback. Like, they're finding creative ways to utilize their offensive line until they get guys back from injury. Now, Ryan Bates will be eligible to come off IR after this week, so that's something that they can open up his window if they want to. Larry Borum, who was their swing tackle last year, who in any other circumstance probably would have been a cap casualty at the end of training camp, but they need the depth, so they ended up, deciding to keep him. I think that that's a good sign that, like, once they get through this London trip, once they get through the bye, they'll have more bodies there. But, if Tevin can't go, and he's had back-to-back injuries, a rib injury and then this ankle injury, if he can't go, that's probably not them trying to move Matt Pryor over to left guard and bringing Nate Davis off the bench. It's probably Pryor staying at right guard and pulling Bill Murray back into the lineup to keep him at left, because they really did feel that when he was in the game last week, he affected it well.
Courtney, how do you see the game going London time Sunday afternoon?
It's hard to tell with the secondary. Like, that to me doesn't make it, that complicates things for the Bears. This was not a slam dunk win regardless. I think that despite what Jacksonville's record is right now, the Bears are still learning what kind of football team they're going to be. Right now, they're a team with a great defense that's trying to figure it out offensively. But I think that challenges things, with what they have on the back end of the defense and a quarterback that's capable of manipulating that. So I still think the Bears win. I think it's going to end up being like 26-24, a close game here in London. But, to be 4-2 at the bye is something that they've never done under Matt Eberflus. Now, they've also never had a bye this early, but they're starting to get on track. It's just a matter of, can you take what you did against the Rams and against the Carolina Panthers and start to build on that and then not have a drop-off when they come out of the bye and go straight to Washington to face the person who right now is the odds-on favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Courtney, I think that there are, and I've been kind of in the similar light when talking about this week, and especially hearing about Brisker and Tyreek, it changes things, and with the potential of, it looks like Evan Ingram being back, that obviously adds an element to the Jags offense. But we really appreciate your time and enjoy your time over there in London.
Thank you both. Take care.
Thank you, too.
Have some Ben's cookies for me, Courtney. I need those Ben's cookies. Those of you who've been to London know it all too well. And again, Courtney can be found on X at Courtney R. Cronin.
For the Jags, tomorrow morning practice will be at 10:45 London time, 5:45 Eastern. And then Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and some other players will meet with media 11:35 London time, 6:35 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, I'm also genuinely curious, and part of that is, of course, the Jaguars did have to shift their departure time to depart for London late last night. I'm curious because they will have a walkthrough today. My assumption, Lauren and Taylor, is that we will get an estimated injury report later this afternoon, just by basis of NFL rules. But it is interesting that they will have a walkthrough today and a full practice tomorrow.
Yeah, so whatever the injury designation is, or not injury, but the status for today, I would say you take that with a grain of salt because they're not actually practicing.
Right.
So if they are, I'm sure that just like yesterday too, it'll be limited. Everyone's limited.
And of note, we will make our picks coming up a little bit later here in the 12 o'clock hour on a Sunshine Turf Friday of Helmets and Heels. The line has shifted, and I'm curious if it's because of that Tyreek Stevenson news at mybookie.ag to a 1.5-point spread in favor of the Chicago Bears, down from 2.5 yesterday.
And it was, when I looked this morning, just a couple hours ago, it was 4. Bears favored by 4. So this line's all over the place. We shall see. Exactly. We will get to the injury update when we return. We have tons to do today. Like Mia said, we have our picks as well. Thanks again to Courtney Cronin for joining us. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Let's take it down the field and win it.
It's a different kind of Sunday drive.
10th play of the drive here.
Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game
Here's your ball game.
on 1010XL.
Dive into Beyond Triathlon, an inspiring documentary with stories of women in sports, featuring Jacksonville's Dottie Dorian, Mayor Donna Deegan, and 3-time Olympic gold medalist Nancy Hogshead at the Lazara Performance Hall at UNF this Saturday, October 12th. After, Bacardi invites you to celebrate with a triumphant Toast to Excellence reception. Golden and silver levels get an exclusive custom blended bottle of rum. Get tickets starting at $10 at BeyondTriathlon.com. Proceeds benefit scholarships for female athletes.
Lauren Brooks here. Now at Hodges Mazda, get 2.9% APR for 72 months on the 2024 Mazda CX-90, Mazda's largest and most luxurious SUV. Or drive home a 2023 Mazda CX-30 2.5S preferred for as low as $26,999. This compact SUV is designed for both city driving and weekend getaways. Discover the Hodges Mazda difference with the non-commissioned sales team who are always focused on putting your best interests first. Plus, enjoy 2 years of free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants. Expires October 31st, 2024.
Mia here. Have you been betting and winning at MyBookie.com? If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running the double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL. We are on to week 6 in the NFL, a ton of college matchups that run through the weekend. Get some skin in the game on all of these elite matchups. You should certainly have your eye on that spread for Florida-Tennessee Saturday night. You know that we play the Bears Sunday on NFL over in London, and we're probably going to be a slight underdog here in Duval County. If you think the Jags can win in London, bet it. The Surging Commanders, meanwhile, play the Ravens in a DMV battle. The Cowboys play the Lions. And for Sunday Night Football, Bengals traveling to New York to play the Giants. For a limited time, MyBookie still has that double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Getting you ready for the game. Pre-game Friday. Brought to you by MyBookie and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. And if your dream is to create that space where you're living large in your backyard, then you need to get with the good people at CSS. They put a gas log in our fireplace, an awesome fire pit out back where the kids can toast s'mores and we can just hang out and watch the game. It's all part of your outdoor living experience with CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
You dream it, we build it. CSS.
I've known Glenn Coleman for a long time as a friend and a lawyer. Persistent and fair, Glenn and his firm have represented clients from North Florida and South Georgia for over 40 years in all kinds of personal injury cases. If I had such a case, call Glenn at Barnes, Cohen & Sullivan.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists congratulating this week's high school scholar athlete, Lauren Hutton, senior swimmer at Fletcher High. Lauren is the varsity captain of the swim team and is a member of the National and French Honor Societies. Congratulations, Lauren.
I-9 Sports wants to make sure kids all over the First Coast can enjoy growing up on a field or in a gym. And right now, fall and winter registration is open. Find out what I-9 Sports offers across Duval, Clay, and St. John's. I9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount.
Elbow pain, whether acute or chronic, can make it difficult to do normal activities like playing sports, doing household chores, or even sleeping comfortably. Dr. George Barr here, and no one wants to deal with pain without solutions on how to feel better. We've all heard of tennis and golfer's elbow, but there's plenty more that can cause pain, like osteoarthritis, muscle tears, and nerve entrapment. All are treatable at Barr Orthopedics. Getting you back to full health is our mission, and there's a number of different treatment options we can offer. Call us today or visit barrorthopedics.com.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe. I want to talk to you about picking the right battles to fight in this life. Every day, we have opportunities to get upset and angry. But I want you to realize that sometimes you have to ignore in this life so that you can soar into the kingdom of heaven. My encouragement, friends, to you is to pick the right battles to fight. Fight only battles that help you draw closer to God, because you have to ignore so that you can soar.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks. Hanging out on a Sunshine Turf Friday. If you want your backyard to look good all year long, visit sunshineturf.info or call 904-383-0243. Caleb and his team, their latest projects are always on 1010XL's Instagram on Friday, so you can check them out there. They do a fantastic job, whether it's a pet run, whether it's a playground. You should see some of the playgrounds that they've done. sunshineturf.info. All right, let's get it to the latest when it comes to injuries.
The personal injury attorneys of Farah & Farah present this injury update. Farah & Farah, Jacksonville. Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, certainly that escalated quickly. Thank you again to Courtney Cronin of ESPN for joining us in our opening segment of today's program and for updating us on the situation surrounding Bears defensive back and Miami alum Tyreek Stevenson. Yes, let's begin with the Bears before we get to the Jaguars injury update, which had no changes from Wednesday's injury report. Stevenson popped up on the injury report yesterday with that calf injury, was limited in practice. Again, as Courtney alluded to, he is doubtful for Sunday's game in London. Meanwhile, Tevin Jenkins, limited on Wednesday, did not practice Thursday, was limited again today. He is considered questionable for the Bears for Sunday's game. Some other players on the Bears injury report, Kyler Gordon was limited in practice on Wednesday. He was a full participant on Thursday. And Mercedes Lewis, DNP, NIR, not injury related, Rest. At least they didn't put old.
Didn't they? I mean, it showed at this point he doesn't practice.
Didn't they put
really
old?
doesn't.
I thought they put old one time. Like it was like did not practice.
It was
reasoning
a
is
thing.
old.
Yeah, it's been a thing this year, and everyone just expecting. Okay, he gets a day of rest, and then so one day they'd literally just put old on it.
And of
Eric
course,
Armstead is the same way.
well, he gets Fridays off.
Right,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, as far as vet rest, he's the only
Right.
Jags player who gets vet
I
rest,
think
and
he's
he's not nearly as old as Mercedes.
I think he's the only Jags player in Doug's 3 years here that I've ever seen actually get vet rest, and so it's probably written into the contract.
Mercedes is older than the Bears GM. Like that's how
Mercedes is older than coaches on the Jags staff. It's something else. And of course, 3 players already ruled out for Sunday's game before the Bears made the trip across the pond earlier this week. That includes defensive back Jaquan Brisker with a concussion, Zach Pickens, the defensive lineman by way of South Carolina with the groin, and defensive back Terrell Smith with the hip injury. All 3 of those players. So that, of course, could mean 2 significant starters in the Bears secondary not available for Sunday against the Big Cats. Speaking of the Jaguars with, I'm not going to do the math, but basically everybody on their injury report, which looks to be from a quick little view, I believe it's 7 players, all 7 players, limited Wednesday, limited Thursday. Let's run through them. The most significant, of course, is Evan Ingram, back on the practice field this week, limited with the hamstring injury that has kept him out each of the last 4 contests. Tyson Campbell's window has been open to return from the injured reserve list. He was also limited with his hamstring injury each of the last 2 days. Doug Peterson saying earlier this week they're probably eyeing more of a return for Tyson against the Patriots when the Jaguars play their second game in London next week. Elsewhere, Darnell Savage still limited by that quad injury. He did play on Sunday. Travis Etienne with the shoulder, Devin Lloyd with the knee. Yasir Abdullah was inactive on Sunday in the win over the Colts with a neck injury that's kept him limited in practice each of the last 2 weeks. Daniel Thomas also inactive on Sunday. He also is fighting a hamstring injury, also limited this week. And Gabe Davis still limited with a knee injury, although he, of course, did play on Sunday as well. This has been the Farah and Farah injury update.
So it seems to me, ladies, that this game plan for the Jaguars is going to take one of 2 directions. One, they're going to run the ball because the Bears are a better passing defense than run defense. Although, again, with the secondary changes, we'll see. Or 2, they are going to try and get those explosive plays yet again like they did against the Colts. And that's a heavily involved Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, potentially Evan Ingram. Is there going to be a balance of those 2 things? Yes. But to me, at the end of the day, you're either going to see 100 yards for Tank Bigsby or more, or again, Brian Thomas Jr. with over 100 yards.
I think that a lot of that, and of course it all goes back to, I think a lot of that is going to come from discipline from the offensive coaching staff. There will be times that you run the ball and you only gain 2 or 3 yards. I know Tank Bigsby is averaging 8 yards a pop right now, and a lot of that is, of course, due to some of the explosive plays that he had. He is the type of running back that needs to get lathered up. You need 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, 3, 8. Like that is the yard formula per carry when it comes to Tank Bigsby. A little bit different with Travis Etienne, but I would love to see once again a world in which they both not only can coexist, but you get both of them on the field at the same time, and Etienne is equally as much of a threat out of the backfield in the passing game as he could be in the run game, because that would certainly cause fits for a depleted Bears defense across the board.
Yeah, I mean, the defense up front is healthy, and the defense up front is a lot better than the Colts defense up front, especially because they were missing like 3 of their starting guys up front. So it is a little bit of a different tale for that, too. The Bears do not have some incredible rushing defense, but they're middle of the pack. They're not bad. I think a lot of it is their passing defense has been so good that teams have had to just run the ball, and so maybe towards the end of the games, they're starting to wear down the Bears defense up front a little bit because they don't want to throw. And so this is a different look because you are missing somebody in Tyreek Stevenson, who is a massive part of that secondary. And you just heard Courtney Cronin talking about it. He's that boundary guy. And so that is something that is going to be looked at. And also, not only that, the backup technically in Terrell Smith is also out. So they're going to their 3rd string, which is this guy named Jalen Jones. Jalen Jones has been serviceable. He's familiar with the defense. He's been there for 3 years. He's only allowed a touchdown. He only has 4 starts, I think like 32 games, and only allowed 1 touchdown in that time. But there's a high completion percentage allowed again on him. So we will see how that looks, but it's not. So that is something that I could see this week, the Jags being able to take advantage of that. And like I said, too, Jaquan Brisker, just because Brisker does so much. Brisker is a big part of when it comes to when the Bears do blitz, when it comes to creating pressures from your safeties, when it comes to being able to make those open field tackles, when it comes to getting interceptions, when it comes to getting the balls just out of the receiver's hands in general. Brisker is one of the biggest pieces of the defense when it comes to that. So I do think that the Jags have to kind of reevaluate maybe what they thought 3 days ago, because 3 days ago, I think the game plan would have been more just run it down the Bears' throats because that's your best option. At this point, I do think that Trevor has the ability to take advantage of a guy like Jalen Jones, who hasn't started many NFL games.
Not that we want to compare apples and oranges here, but would you compare, Taylor, Jalen Jones to Buster Brown in terms of capable plug-and-play backup, albeit maybe with a 4.6 40 that is significantly, in terms of natural God-given ability, less than Tyreek Stevenson? Or is this truly a situation like we saw with the Colts last week, where you're asking young guys who, yes, have been in the system, but at the same time haven't been able to prove it when they've been on the field?
No, I think Jalen is closer to Buster. When we came through the offseason, the Bears were kind of evaluating. Their corner room was so deep that they had to get rid of some guys that they didn't really want to. And we were able to bring one of the guys, Reddy Stewart, back to the practice squad, and which was fortunate. Honestly, some people thought they may be calling him up when we started hearing that some of these guys may be banged up. But Jalen's been able to come out, and the few times they've asked him to, like I said, it was 4 starts that he's had last season when they were dealing with injuries. I think it was Tyreek that got banged up later in the year last year. And he was still able to hold defense. The defense is still, offenses still weren't scoring over 20 points. And that during that time is when Jalen Jones was in. It is still a drop down. Like, you would still say that when you're here. Like, Buster Brown's done really well, but people would still say the team's better when Tyson Campbell's in. And so I do think it is a good comparison when you kind of label those two.
More of a boundary, though.
Yes.
Not Trey Herndon.
Yeah, not Herndon.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Now, whereas Trey Herndon, capable, Lauren, good depth piece in the slot. Just a little slow.
He's too slow.
Once upon a time, though, lest we forget, when he who must not be named was traded to the Los Angeles Rams, it was Trey Herndon. And even before he was traded, of course, the back injury that Jalen Ramsey incurred, that led to Trey Herndon starting plenty of games at the boundary before I think ultimately the Jaguars recognized, you know what, he's probably better at the nickel spot.
Let's flip it to the other side. How does the Jaguars defense contain the Bears offense? We'll do that when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need any special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
Mia here, and folks, it's beautiful outside. However, we know Hurricane Milton just rolled through our beloved state of Florida. We're wishing everyone good wishes, especially our friends down south. If for any reason you incurred flooding over the last few days that may or may not have knocked out your HVAC, like what happened to my house last summer, give my friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning a call. I've told you guys this time and time again. I called Jeff, and he had a qualified service tech at my house within 12 hours of my AC being knocked out when it was flooded. Give Duck Duck AC a call today. Schedule service 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck AC is a licensed mechanical contractor.
Hey there, all you sports dads rocking the best dad bod possible. We love seeing you eat tacos by the handful, and we love it when you bring your kids here too. For years, Lucy claimed that her favorite thing on the menu was sopapillas, with a big scoop of ice cream. I know that's not a taco, but that never stopped her. I was shooting for Dad of the Year anyway, so I just let it happen. Taco-Lu's a great place to bring the family. There's something for everyone, as long as it starts with a taco. And a margarita for mom is always a good thing. At Taco-Lu in Jacksonville Beach.
Former Gator and Jaguars linebacker Mike Peterson and Mandarin and standout and Gator cornerback Fred Weary will be inducted into the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame. For tickets to the celebration lunch Friday, November 1st, go to GAFLJax.com.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Hey, gang, Prosser here. Telling you once again about Chad and Sandy Newman. Mortgage rates are down, creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. So maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. They can handle that. You see, Chad and Sandy can take every problem you think you have and replace it with a promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. The success stories are rolling in. Mike and Lisa in McCormick. We inherited a family home that came with equity but also a mortgage. We needed to sell fast to avoid extra expenses on a second mortgage. We heard about Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Everything they say on the radio is true. The home sold in 3 days for full asking price. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's ChadAndSandy.com.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand-new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 11th, 1927, New York Yankees first baseman Lou Gehrig is named American League MVP, hitting 47 home runs and batted in 175 runs that season.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
Nick in here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, you need to get screened for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about getting a colonoscopy. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Borland Groover recently expanded into St. Johns County. The new and advanced surgery center and medical office is open in Durbin Crossing. Visit BorlandGroover.com for a location near you. Remember, 45 is the new 50. Get screened today with Borland Groover.
Jacksonville, are you ready? The college basketball season is tipping off with an epic in-state showdown. The Florida Gators and South Florida Bulls go head-to-head in the Jacksonville Sports Foundation Invitational. Be there Monday, November 4th at Veterans Memorial Arena and witness this in-state rivalry live. Secure your seats now at Ticketmaster.com. It's Florida versus South Florida to start the college basketball season on November 4th in Jacksonville. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker. Because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
1 second left. Packers are down by 6 at the goal line. Your defense is the only thing stopping them from scoring. Is your team prepared? Double-Check Cybersecurity has your back. With an AI-powered defense, start your 14-day trial at doublecheck.com.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars pass rusher Josh Hines Allen on preparing for Bears quarterback and number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams.
I know with this quarterback, he does a really good job on getting away from sacks. That gives us more opportunities to rush the ball because I believe he has all the confidence in the world that can't nobody sack him. Obviously, the first 2 weeks they gave him 14 or whatever, first 3 weeks. Even still in the tape, he tries to do. He does his best on avoiding sacks.
Hines Allen on the ground game for Chicago.
DeAndre Swift is a good running back. I still remember days of, him back in Georgia. He's a good running back.
Josh Hines Allen on the Bears offense. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
10 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale Lighting, Fans, and Home Decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks on this Sunshine Turf Friday with you. We just talked about the Jaguars offense and how it can go score points against the Bears defense, but what about the flip side? How does the Jaguars defense contain Caleb Williams and that Bears offense? Right now, ladies, when it comes to yards per game, the Jacksonville Jaguars passing defense is last. That's right, 32nd in the NFL, averaging 287.8 yards per game given up. So, Taylor Dahl, when it comes to the Jags defense, certainly they've had some players missing, but I don't think any of us would point to the injuries as being the reason that this passing defense has been so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's certain players that everybody would agree would make it. I do think Tyson Campbell would make things better. I just think that when you're looking at a secondary who is technically missing, I would say Tyson's the leader of that side of the ball because obviously he's been kind of the guy. He just got paid, and there's a lot of things that go into that, and we've seen the moments of Tyson Campbell being able to be this lockdown guy, and granted it hasn't been in very long forms because we've seen like glimpse in 2022, and then unfortunately last year he got hurt, so we didn't get to see like a full season of it then, but he's been able to be that guy in moments, especially in games. I feel like he's been able to step up when it's the games like, okay, here's your test this week, and that's the game where you see Tyson Campbell be able to really show out. So I think that as much as I think Buster Brown's played well, and I think most people would agree that he's stepped in and he had big shoes to fill and has been able to be an efficient guy in filling in that role. But injuries factor when you're factoring injuries into the secondary, it is, I think, it is a big part of how your defense is going to flow because especially if you're not getting the interior pass rush that maybe you thought you were going to, which the Jags have not. And so it'd be different maybe if the Jags were able, if Eric Armstead and Devon were able to create these pressures from the inside. I do think that could make up a little bit for what some of the injuries that are happening in the secondary. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to. So that is still putting a lot on these secondary guys who the safeties aren't playing well, and you're missing big pieces when it comes to Tyson Campbell. And, Ronald Darby has not been playing up to standard whatsoever.
Oh, and of course, Eric Armstead's not really even playing on the inside as well, Taylor. I mean, I'm looking at
also, they moved him back to that on the depth chart. Did you notice that?
I'm looking at it right now, yeah. And I'm like... I mean, like, I'm getting a kick out of Tyler Lacey and Mason Smith are listed as the third teamers. And I'm like, they're out here starting football games, which respect to the rotation of the defensive front to keep guys fresh. But once again, for a second straight season, the depth at the edge rusher position has to come into question, even with Trayvon Walker having 5 sacks through 5 games, even with Josh Hines-Allen not only getting paid, but once again starting to appear to show signs of repeating the performance that he did a season ago, or at least taking another step towards a double-digit sack season.
We have Travis Gibson, though, right?
He was inactive last night. Did you see? He was a healthy scratch last night.
Yeah, but he hasn't played, I don't think, at all. But I had forgotten about him until the other day.
Too,
we
which
talked
is
about
sad
Sean Gibson, but yeah, we haven't even mentioned how Travis Gibson at least was supposed to be that edge depth.
Right. Me and I had a conversation and when we were kind of going through our final depth charts before the season, and some people had some talks that Travis wasn't even going to make the team at that point because he just wasn't impressing them the way they thought he was in camp. But it is interesting that I feel like I haven't said his name like one time during the season.
Right.
So far.
But, I mean, we probably should start saying his name because...
it's not coming from anywhere else.
Look, and like nothing against Seze Otomewo and Miles Cole. Certainly Roy Robertson-Harris has been asked to rotate now out to the wide 9, which, like, again, we talked about the addition of Eric Armstead and the addition of Travis Gibson if he had stuck around. Was this idea of Roy can get back to just playing 5-tech and focus on playing 5-tech. And it's not that he can't play a true defensive end spot in a forefront defense, but
he's just had his best seasons at 5.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm glad you brought up the defensive front, Taylor, and answering the question of how do you solve the issues on the back end, because I do think it's paramount. I do think you're asking a lot of young guys in Buster Brown, in Antonio Johnson and Andre Sisco, which I asked Ryan Nielsen yesterday, and I may have to see if we can play that sound. I asked him point blank, evaluate your safety play so far, knowing Tashawn Gibson is eligible to return week 7, right? Week 7, yes, 6-week suspension, so week 7.
The second game in London.
Right, and, and he just said we got to coach him better for lack of a better term, to paraphrase, he was like, we have to put those young guys in the right position. And I've heard multiple people on the Superstation here say, Andre Sisco and Antonio Johnson are both under 25. Don't write them off. And I agree with that because there is a skill set there. What I'm curious to see is I do think the communication, which Ryan Nielsen also referenced in his media availability yesterday, I did think the communication was better last week. And I think Darnell Savage is a big reason for that, just because he is that veteran voice in that secondary outside of Ronald Darby. I also am curious because in the opening week against Miami, you did see him, and granted that was when the rotations were in full force, you did see him rotate to more of a safety position to spell those two. And I'm curious if we will see that in London because I don't really think we saw it on Sunday against Indianapolis.
If the communication's been good, then the execution's been really poor because they had, obviously the Colts, that is, had multiple explosive plays. And so, yes, if you're communicating properly, great. But that means that the guys are where they're supposed to be, and then they are just giving up these massive plays. And so at the end of the day, yeah, the secondary I don't think has been anywhere nearly as good as what we thought it was going to be. And yes, Tyson Campbell missing is a part of that. But overall, you can't have those busted coverages because you do have a guy that's been in the league for 10 years in Ronald Darby. You know, he should at least be able to get them where they need to be. I do think the pass rush is key because we talked about how Caleb Williams struggled earlier in the season because he was sacked so often. If the Jaguars can rush him, if they can affect him with pressure, that certainly could be a key.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of leading to also, is because once you are able to create or get Caleb uncomfortable, those are when we've seen some of his bigger mistakes, whether that be the couple interceptions in those 2 games that he did throw, or just overthrows or kind of rushing some passes that he doesn't when he feels like he's kind of settled and does have time to throw, which that's any quarterback, but especially a young quarterback, a rookie who's still learning this offense. And Shane Waldron has a very unique style offense, and she mentioned it, a West Coast style offense, and that's what a lot of people are talking about too, the difference of what the Washington is asking Jaden Daniels to do and what the Bears are asking Caleb to do. And so it is different, and it is something that you'll see a lot of different looks. You'll see 2 tight ends on the field. You'll see 3 tight ends on the field. You'll see DeAndre Swift used a ton in the pass game. You'll see Cole Kmet blocking on a lot of run plays. And so he does a lot of kind of different things. And so that's a lot to figure out, and that's kind of where Courtney Cronin was going. It's not just this basic offense of like, here we do this, this, and this. He's asking Caleb to do a lot of things that guys are not being asked to do normally until probably their 2nd, 3rd year in the NFL. So take advantage of those moments if you're Jacksonville, because he is going to have some miscues, especially if you're getting in his face and creating some of those errors. As I said before, I am more confident in our tackles. Our tackles are probably the best players on the offensive line, even though they're both young. And Braxton Jones on the left side was a 5th-round pick that Ryan Poles just ended up kind of getting lucky on. And then Darnell Wright, obviously, they used a high draft pick on. And it's both of those have worked out. But the interior is mixing around a lot right now. She's talking about how the center was kind of that battle in the beginning. You look at the right guard has already been benched for somebody else, and Matt Pryor, and then now Tevin possibly not being there, so Bill Murray getting his first start of the career. You've got to take advantage of that interior, and that's kind of where I was going with the Jags defense not getting that interior pass rush. This could be the game where they could take advantage of that.
It's interesting. I feel like most people who cover the Jags think the Jags will win, and most people who cover the Bears think the Bears will win. It's one of those interesting situations because I think the people who cover the Jags are like, well, they finally won the game, and also this is a talented roster, and they have a quarterback that certainly has way more experience in the NFL. And the people who cover the Bears are like, yeah, but the Bears have a much more, I would say, stronger defense, certainly, and then offensively, they're just getting started.
Might I direct you to the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, which, of course, we didn't say hello to our Heeligans yet as we are 47 minutes into the program. Hello. You could get in on the conversation at 641-1010 as well as at the MyBookie Digital Studio. 716 on the text line says, the Jags aren't a 1-5 team and the Bears aren't a 4-2 team. Assuming there have not been serious problems we don't know about, Ingram returns, the Jags roll by double digits. I'm not so sure about double digits, but I do think that eye test is something we did talk about at different junctures last year, whether it was the Jags or any other outfit in the National Football League. And
I think the Jags have sucked. So, that's what's weird. Right. The Jags have not played a full good football game, honestly. And you could talk about the Colts, but the Colts are not good. They were missing 10 of their 22 starters, and you still took to final seconds to be able to beat them. Granted, it's a divisional game. Those divisional games look a little different. But and with the Bears, it's more so, okay, it's the Panthers. Was that just you? But they rolled the Panthers. It didn't take a final second field goal for them to beat the Panthers. They confidently beat the Panthers. There was never a minute outside of the first 4 minutes that you thought the Bears were going to even be close in that game. But they haven't had a true test yet when it comes to both sides of the ball. And so I think there's honestly a lot of Bears fans, when you say they think they'll win, a lot of Bears fans are more so maybe 2 days ago were like, oh, yeah, like the Bears should win this. This offense is rolling. The secondary is one of the best in the league. But I truly think that without Tyreek and Jaquan Brisker, that a lot of people, and I've seen tweets today being like, this changes things because this was your strongest suit, and now you just lost 2 pieces of the biggest thing that's been keeping you in a lot of the games.
I think the Keeligans' point, and this was at least where my brain went to first, is that when you look at this young Bears team that is still a young outfit at the very least at the quarterback position and is still finding its footing and gelling together, it brings to mind thoughts of the 2017 Jaguars, who did begin the year 3-3. There were highs, there were lows. I think that's more so the mindset of when you look at this Bears team as a whole, it looks like, and again, this is probably someone in Jacksonville, or at least it's a 904 area code, suggesting that it looks like a 3-3 team that's in the hunt, but is still finding its way, as opposed to a 4-2 front runner in the National Football League.
Yeah, and I think that you got to look at the schedules, because the teams that they've played, honestly, and we say it here, how many one play could have changed the record drastically. There's probably 4 plays and the Bears could not have a loss, honestly. And that's how close everything's been so far this season. So they definitely should have beat the Colts. That's one of the games where it was like, you look back now and you're like, if the offense started clicking the next week, and if it would have clicked 1 quarter earlier, things would look different. But that's what the NFL is. So I do think that even most Bears fans going into this season felt the Bears were like an 8-win team, maybe a 9-win team. That's just what they thought it was. They knew it was going to take time for this offense to start clicking. They knew that, honestly, looking at the schedule early, thought it was going to be even tougher, because everyone was talking about how the AFC South was all from top to bottom going to be more competitive. It obviously has not been. And then you look at the Rams and you're like, oh, you got to play Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They're missing 2 of their wide receivers. So you kind of get lucky when you face them at that time also. So to be honest, like, they have a very difficult schedule going ahead. And so I think the Bears in a whole are looking like, let you win this game because it is winnable. You're playing a 1-win team because you have a really hard schedule coming up after them, and to take all of the ones that you could possibly get early and take advantage of injuries and teams not fully rolling yet is what you have to do. But in the same breath, Jags are doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, and history shows us that the Jaguars, and whenever they decide to go to London, has worked out well for them. At least the past few seasons, they've done well. Obviously, last year, sweeping the 2 London games. Is that going to be a huge advantage this time? We have no idea. I do think that there's something to a lot of the players have been before, so they understand the travel schedule and things like that. But I think nowadays, with travel as easy as it is, it's not like 20 years ago where NFL players have probably never been overseas. Like, I highly doubt that this is some of them. For some of them, sure. But I'm sure a lot of them
like their first time ever out of the country.
Correct. Like, it's not their first time on a plane going over 3-4 hours, things like that. All right, right now we've got a special giveaway. And then on the other side, we will say hello to Nick De La Torre and talk Florida, Tennessee football. Spirit of a Woman Bacardi giveaway. You must be 21 and up to win the bottle of Bacardi, and it is inspired by Beyond Triathlon, a documentary that premieres tomorrow at UNF Lazard Performance Hall and showcases some inspiring journeys of women in our community. Dottie Dorian, Celeste Callahan, Nancy Hogshead, and Mayor Donna Deegan. Be call number 4 at 641-1010. Call number 4, 641-1010. We will talk Gators Vols. When we return, we have our picks coming up. Taylor's Tangent. Lots to do on this Sunshine Turf Friday. Visit them online, sunshineturf.info, or call 904-383-0243. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL. Uncover what you might have missed.
He's quick. He's got great hands. He finds the gaps.
Tandy Foods Post-Game Monday.
And most importantly, he moves the chains.
Expert analysis of Sunday's game all day. Post-Game Monday. Brought to you by Dandy Foods on 1010XL.
This is Paige, owner of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. People ask me all the time what's healthy, and that's hard because healthy is different from losing weight. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. There are a lot of foods out there that are healthy foods, but they're not going to support your weight loss. And that's what we're here to help with. We're here to help you get in the healthy foods that are going to help you lose weight. The Awaken 180 difference is our coaches. It's our team. You can find things online about weight loss, but you try them yourself and they just don't work. And that's because everyone is different. And that's what our coaches are so skilled at helping you figure out.
They certainly figure it out. This is Mike Dempsey, and as you all know, I dropped my 25 pounds in just 4 weeks thanks to Awaken 180. They did the work, I just followed my plan. They did the same for Matt Hayes, and I'd say they hit the target with Hacker, about to reach the 100-pound mark. Let them do it for you. Reserve your consultation at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180.
Mia here, hoping everyone stayed safe through Hurricane Milton. If you do need help with your roof, my friends at Pro Jax Roofing are here. If your roof took on any damage at all, know that they are here to help. From the smallest of repairs to full roof replacements, my friend Mike has been serving all of Northeast Florida for 25 years. Like I said, we hope everyone stayed safe during the storm, but if you do need help with your roof, call Pro Jax Roofing at 904-338-1722. You will be directed to Mike directly at Pro Jax Roofing at 904-338-1722 or visit them online at projaxroofingfl.com.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Prosser here. I've been telling you for years about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us. Imagine watching your favorite team in your new Lifetime Man Cave, family hangout, or Lifetime's version of a she shed. And now Lifetime is expanding their replacement window division. Make your home energy efficient with their Energy Star rated windows. Enclosures, flooring, and windows to fit any and all budgets. Visit the showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let Lifetime be your home team.
The Jaguars are back at Everbank Stadium to go head-to-head with the Green Bay Packers for our crucial catch game. Join us October 27th as we fight cancer through early detection, risk reduction, and awareness all game long. Lock in your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you there.
Mia here. Have you been betting and winning at MyBookie.com? If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running the double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL. We are on to Week 6 in the NFL, a ton of college matchups that run through the weekend. Get some skin in the game on all of these elite matchups. You should certainly have your eye on that spread for Florida, Tennessee Saturday night. You know that we play the Bears Sunday on NFL over in London, and we're probably going to be a slight underdog here in Duval County. If you think the Jags can win in London, bet it. The Surging Commanders, meanwhile, play the Ravens in a DMV battle. The Cowboys play the Lions. And for Sunday Night Football, Bengals traveling to New York to play the Giants. For a limited time, MyBookie still has that double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday. The highest quality artificial turf at affordable prices. Visit sunshineturf.info today.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy, the Jack-O-Lanterns, here with a front porch view of Target's Halloween deals, like 20% off costumes with Target Circle. We're talking rock stars, witches, princesses.
Ooh, you know, I think I'd look good with a cape.
I think so too, Gordy. Plus, hit the trick-or-treat jackpot with 20% off candy.
Now that's how you get porch traffic.
This week only, save 20% on costumes with Target Circle and 20% off candy. Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Restrictions apply.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Brought to you by the YMCA. Hurricane Milton forced many local high school football games to be rescheduled for Monday, including Bartram Trail at Nice, Creekside at Atlantic Coast, and Bishop Kenny will host Menendez all at 6:30. You can hear the Bishop Kenny Crusaders take on Menendez Monday night on 1010XL. On a bye week this week, FSU hopes to regroup and readjust after their 1-5 start to the season. With injuries being one of the Noles' issues, Coach Mike Norvell spoke to the media on linebacker DJ Lundy having a season-ending injury this week and what he's looking to see out of the young guys given the opportunity to step up.
I mean, are you going to be able to go out there and execute and be consistent? You know, everything we do, whether it's offense or defense, if you have one guy operating different, it can cost everybody. And so you're just building that consistency is what I'm looking for. And yes, the competition, the response. You know, when something goes good for them, how do they carry that to the next play? And if something goes bad, I mean, how do they respond to it in the moment?
It's 76 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Fresh off of baby duty. I don't think he's sleeping at all, and it's not Billy Napier that is keeping him up at night. It is none other than our good friend covering the Florida Gators down in Gaines, Vegas, the one, the only, Nick De La Torre of Gators Online and On 3 Sports, joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline as we kick off the 1 o'clock hour on a Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels. Are you still awake, Nick, through all of that?
Yeah, you know, it's really a simple math problem. The time that a baby takes to be ready to be born, and my wife and I absolutely failed math class. Baby being born at the start of football season, not one of my best moves, but being a dad is very cool, despite sleep being a thing of the past.
And, it also gives you something wonderful to come home to after listening to, a coach who, at least for the first month of the season, made some comments about people in their basement that had people hot and bothered and kept you working very hard. So let's contrast and begin at that juncture, Nick. Compare and contrast for me, because I went on with the sports animal in Knoxville yesterday, and they kind of asked for me the temperature of the room in Gainesville and the Gator fan base right now comparatively to a month ago. Do you believe Billy Napier has made his case over the last 2-3 weeks to extend his tenure in Gainesville comparatively to the point we were at, let's say, after the Texas A&M loss?
No. It's tough. I've followed Billy around all spring and listened to him talk about how his team was good. And I guess I have a unique perspective being from South Florida, growing up around Miami fans. I kept mentioning to him, like, hey, do you know how important this game is? There is a segment of the fan base that you will not get back if you lose to Miami. And I didn't think they would look like they did against Miami. There's a segment of fans that they're done. I don't think Mississippi State's a very good football team. Apparently, UCF isn't either. So there really isn't a signature win from this season, and not a win that you feel good about. That can change Saturday. Nobody snatches defeat from the jaws of victory, quite like Tennessee does when they play Florida. They come up with new, innovative ways to lose football games when they're playing the Gators. But a more than 2 touchdown underdog on the road, I think maybe you can start to win some people back with a win this weekend. But from dipping more than just my toe in the water, it's a hot tub. It's not a kiddie pool or a nice tempered pool. People's minds have not been changed, or their feelings have not been swayed these last 3 weeks.
Nick, when you talk about the newborn baby, there's a song that says you're going to miss this. I feel like just think about that maybe sometimes when you're missing out on the sleep. But when we're talking about the Gator defense, especially up front, it seems like most teams have been able to run on them, and it looks like the key to success for Tennessee this weekend is also Dylan Sampson being able to get that going. Is there any chance for Florida's defensive front to even slow him down?
Yeah, you'd like to. I thought UCF would be able to run on Florida, but UCF really makes themselves one-dimensional by design. And I think you got the blueprint from Colorado. Now, everyone doesn't have a Travis Hunter, but Jason Marshall's been playing fantastic for Florida in his senior year, and you're able to play man on the outside and commit more guys into the box to stop the run, which they were more successful than any team against UCF. Tennessee's just multiple. And then they've had some issues protecting Nico this year, some issues with injuries, specifically at offensive tackle. So that's something I think that Florida can do. And if they can keep the passing game down or slow the passing game down and then be able to focus on stopping the run, I just don't know that I have confidence that Florida will have a repeat performance that they did last week, because they're not going to be able to attack Tennessee and commit to stopping the run the same way they were last week against UCF, just because of how much more dynamic this Tennessee offense is.
Nick, lost in the fact that Vanderbilt beat Alabama was the fact that Alabama had 2 players wearing number 2 jerseys on the field at the same time. So we should have known right then that Kalen DeBoer's squad was going to lose. Of course, I say that to then ask you about one of the number 3s, Trey Wilson. Will he be available? I know he's not on the injury report. Will he actually play tomorrow night?
Yeah, I believe he should. And if you go back and watch, just the first drive before he injured his collarbone, Trey Wilson seemingly was the offensive game plan for Florida. They forced the issue to get him the ball. And I don't want to take anything away from Aiden Mizell or Tank Hawkins. Both of them have filled in admirably. But to quote Billy Napier, we're a better football team with Eugene Wilson. And there's no mistaking that. So that's something that I think Florida will be more than welcoming of Trey when he's able to come back. I thought he was going to play last week. He looked like he was going through everything at 100%, even returning, punts pregame in pads and running routes. Billy Napier said it in his press conference after. I thought that joker looked like he was ready to play, and so did I. So for me, I think it's huge for Florida to get him back. He's their most dynamic weapon on offense, and really can help Florida on Saturday. And they probably need a big game from him if they're going to upset Tennessee.
He is on the graphic that the Gators made for the promotion.
I see you with your tinfoil hat.
Yes.
Between the lines.
The promotion of tomorrow night's game on Rocky Top. Eugene Wilson is the player. Trey Wilson is the player that is featured on the official Florida Gator account. A couple more for Nick De La Torre on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball, Nick. What was more surprising to you last week against UCF? The fact that the Gators got more running backs not named Montrell Johnson involved in the run game, or that Billy Napier stuck to his plan of DJ Lagway every third series, no deviation from the plan?
I'm kind of coming back onto, and maybe I'm giving Billy more credit than he deserved based on what he's shown. I'm coming back to liking the rotation, because I think it's so important to get DJ his reps now. And I was talking to some guys at VolQuest this week, and they're talking about all these growing pains that Nico is going through for them. And I said, well, you were 8-4 last year. Why didn't Josh Heupel get Nico those reps last year? It's not like Joe Milton was a Heisman contender. Nico could have gone through those growing pains last year and be ready now instead of looking like a redshirt freshman now. And so I have to give Billy credit. Like, DJ Lagway is not going to be a 4-year player in college. And if he is a 4-year player, it's because he didn't turn out as to be the player that we thought he was, and he's transferred and gone somewhere else. So there was no sense in redshirting him. And I think Graham gives you the best opportunity to win games right now. If Billy Napier wants the opportunity to have a job next year at the University of Florida, he has to win games right now. So you're walking kind of this tightrope of, we need to win. We think Graham does that, but we also need to get DJ experience. And I think it's super important to get DJ experience this Saturday, to go into Neyland Stadium, 101, 2,000 people who hate you because you're not wearing the right jersey, and to feel that and to experience that, because next year you're going to go to LSU. You're going to have to go to Kentucky and go down to Coral Gables. It'll probably be the first time that stadium is sold out in a long time. But you're going to have to then rely on DJ, and I think it's good to get him those reps while still trying to win football games and believing that Graham Mertz gives you the best opportunity to do that.
I think one of the key matchups we're looking at this weekend is that Florida's offensive line has been really good too, only allowing 5 sacks. So what are your expectations between those two and just kind of the battle of the trenches on that side?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's front seven's been fantastic. They're really, really physical. They've been playing well. I think the biggest question mark they have is their secondary. But if you're not going to really get in 2 seconds to throw, you're not really getting time to pick on the secondary. Austin Barber was listed as questionable, but Mia, if I can grab that tinfoil hat from you, he was also named a captain this week. I don't know if he was named the player's captain.
Put the Windhorse meme on both of us. We have the Brian Windhorse meme right now going.
Not that we're playing or using the injury report for gamesmanship, because that can result in penalties of monetary value for the schools. But I think that's huge for Florida. If Austin Barber can't play, I think you'd have to start shuffling around, and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon would have to go to the left tackle, and then you're starting a redshirt freshman, Caden Jones, in that environment I just talked about, while you're trying to stay in front of guys at Tennessee when you can't really hear anything because it's so loud. What does that communication look like? So Austin Barber being out would be a huge blow for Florida's offensive line, which I think is going to have their hands full. It will be interesting to see what kind of defense Tennessee plays. Last year they kind of had a shell, and they were happy to let Florida get 4 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time, 6 yards at a time. And that's absolutely in Graham Mertz's wheelhouse. He said, 5 at a time, thank you. It'll be interesting to see if they try to make Florida pass the ball 8, 9, 10 yards in the air to try to get bigger chunk plays and take away, those soft screens and end arounds that Florida really likes to kind of feast on. So will Tennessee learn from the defensive mistake they made in their game plan last year? We won't know until Saturday.
No, we won't. To me, Nick, one of the keys for Florida is the time of possession. We certainly saw Arkansas and Fayetteville able to dominate that, and so keep the ball away from Nico Iamaleava.
Thank you for saying my name. I wasn't going to, or try. I wasn't going to touch him.
Same, Nick. I just avoided.
He's like Madonna, just a one-name guy. That's all we need, Nico. Yeah, that's the test, because Tennessee is going to go. Their offense is going to go, and they want to run plays. You use like sideline communication up to 15 seconds left on the play clock. Tennessee doesn't see 15 on the play clock very often. Limiting their possessions, I think, is one thing, but you've got to be able to get off the field. And outside of Stanford and UCF, Florida's offense has not gotten off the field. This is a team that allowed a bad Mississippi State team to run for 300 yards. So I don't have a ton of confidence that Florida can do that. But I think, if you are facing an offense like Tennessee, which is under Heupel, scoring more than 46 points a game at home, you want to limit their possessions if you can. It'll be up to Florida's defense to get stops on third down, which means, keeping them behind the sticks on first and second. Tall task.
I look at my computer screen and I see our friends at 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, have titled their show today, Nick. Titans and Vols have must-win scenarios in huge football games this weekend. It certainly feels like, in speaking with our friend Tyler Ivins of the Sports Animal yesterday, speaking with you from the Gator perspective today, it feels like up in Tennessee, they're as amped up for this game as possible. And is there perhaps a bit of apathy or just concern, would you say, right now from the Florida fan base?
I mean, it's probably said in jest, but I think there's some Florida fans, on the message board on social media who are like accepting the trade offer of we will lose horrifically to Tennessee if it comes with Billy Napier's job. And I think there was some even saying that about UCF last week. I will accept a trade of the loss to UCF if it means a new coach. So I don't know that there's a ton of confidence in the Florida fan base. It's Tennessee. They're never going to admit that they think they're going to lose. And like I said, Tennessee finds interesting ways to lose games to Florida. So for me, and looking at Florida fans, they never want to lose to Tennessee, but it's not the kind of confidence that I'm used to seeing from Gator fans during Tennessee week.
Then again, Vandy was once upon a time a 2-score underdog against Alabama. That was at home, but maybe there's something still in the water up there in the state of Tennessee, and maybe it could go the Gators' way. Nick De La Torre of On 3, thank you so much, as always, for joining us, my friend.
Thanks, y'all.
And, of course, you can find him on X at De La Torre. And, again, he joins us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline.
Yes, Taylor's Tangent is next. And if you want to find out more information about Sunshine Turf, visit sunshineturf.info or call Caleb and his team 904-383-0243. And again, you can see their latest project on 1010XL's Instagram. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Sometimes it's a stunning performance.
3 touchdowns tonight.
Sometimes it's the guy who gets the job done.
He doesn't take a play off.
Listen from a Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
He is a difference maker now.
On 1010XL.
Hey, gang, Prosser here to save you some cash. Maximize your home sale now with the market experts who deliver more money in less time, and those experts are Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. You don't have to worry. The worries are relieved with Chad and Sandy, the local real estate experts we are trusting and recommending with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Mortgage rates are down. It's time to create your market. Marvin in Cobblestone writes, my siblings and I moved our parents to Maryland so they can get some extra help as they get older. Next, we had to sell the home to get them some financial help for their extra care. We hired Chad and Sandy, and they delivered big. Chad and Sandy's team got our home sold in 7 days, above asking price. You can too. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
Get hot tips on where to fish this weekend.
I limit it out.
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin Faber. Brought to you by Veterans Wholesale Cabinets and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you could take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Hold up, let me say that again, because this is basically unheard of, folks. 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Dive into Beyond Triathlon, an inspiring documentary with stories of women in sports, featuring Jacksonville's Dottie Dorian, Mayor Donna Deegan, and 3-time Olympic gold medalist Nancy Hogshead at the Lazara Performance Hall at UNF this Saturday, October 12th. After, Bacardi invites you to celebrate with a triumphant Toast to Excellence reception. Golden and silver levels get an exclusive custom blended bottle of rum. Get tickets starting at $10 at BeyondTriathlon.com. Proceeds benefit scholarships for female athletes.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Pre-Game Friday is brought to you by MyBookie
and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, and maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
It's a Helmets and Heels Sunshine Turf Friday.
This election, if you want someone who will take care of the messes, someone who isn't afraid to get dirty and work in the trenches, someone who will pump out the problems and prevent future ones, vote for the Duck.
Need your septic tank serviced? Call DuckDuckRooter, your 5-star Google-rated septic company. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com.
I approve this message.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. DuckDuckRooter.com.
I'm living proof that with Rebound Rehab, you can bounce back and get back in the game. Joe C. for Rebound Rehabilitation, and they helped me recover from an ankle injury that had me down and out. Their team of physical therapists ensure you'll get the best treatment you need to recover and regain mobility. From back, shoulder, and neck pain to a nagging knee or arthritis, Rebound Rehab can help form a game plan through therapy and exercise, complete with an app so you can continue to recover at home. Check out reboundrehab.com. 8 convenient locations.
This is Hayes Carlion for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. Skylife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at Skylife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body for as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
I appreciate Nick De La Torre joining us. If you missed that, it'll be available on demand, breaking down all things Florida and Billy Napier. Obviously, he still believes Napier's on the hottest of hot seats just because Florida's been able to win a couple games against Mississippi State and UCF. That doesn't change things for him. I certainly understand that, and he's in Gainesville. It does feel like the vitriol has decreased a little bit around here, but I do think that's because for a lot of people who cross over between Jags and Gators, their vitriol has been focused on a team that until last Sunday hadn't won as far as the Jags were concerned.
Yeah, I don't think I was even leading Nick, and Nick just took the baton and ran with it. That again, Band-Aid on a bullet hole, largely, until proven otherwise. And fans that have accepted that, you know what, maybe you have to have a embarrassing loss if that's what it means to start over from scratch, which, of course, what does start over from scratch actually mean? Does that mean a complete clearing of house? Of course, UF right now, its president situation is obviously in flux. And so it's going to be fascinating one way or the other.
Yeah, certainly. All right. Right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
So we still have a bit of time until we start seeing games being flexed. But I read an interesting article earlier about how last year was the first year they could flex Monday Night Football. And so they're already looking ahead at some potential Monday Night Football flexes because the Monday night games have been so good. I think they don't want to ruin that at any point this year. And so
that's how you know you're bad, by the way. If you're already being talked about
you
as
cannot play the tonight.
Yeah, getting out of Monday Night Football.
Yeah. So they are talking about last year, obviously, the one they dumped. They ended up dumping the Chiefs-Patriots game, and they replaced it with the Eagles-Seahawks last year. So now they're already kind of looking ahead because they have Monday night and week 13, Denver and Cleveland play. And so that looks like...
I know. Isn't Denver like 2-3, 3-2?
Yeah, but no one cares about Cleveland right now.
Yeah,
like,
you're not
it's
wrong.
just, they're like, okay, Cleveland. But so that's a game they're kind of looking ahead of one of the Monday night games that could potentially be dumped. But the problem is when you look at week 13.
Flexed, not dumped.
Well, they're getting dumped. They're getting dumped and somebody gets flexed in. And
yes, the Broncos are 3-2 right now.
Yeah. And so when you look at that week 13 schedule of those games, I'm not sure there's anything that at this moment, obviously things can change by week 13. Some of these could look drastically different. But the week 13 matchups that happened that week, the Bears-Lions actually play, but they're on Thanksgiving, so that's not going to be something that's changed. Giants-Cowboys, I mean, maybe. That's Thanksgiving, so that's not going to be changed. So then we have Dolphins-Packers.
Also on Thanksgiving.
Yep. And then so we get to the next one, which is going to be the Friday game, which is Raiders and Chiefs. And then you have the whole list of December 1st games, which is Texans and Jags. So that's one that obviously if things shift and pivot for the Jags right now, that could possibly be one.
Yeah, if that's with the division 13, on the line, absolutely.
Yes, for sure. And then you have Colts, Patriots, you have Chargers, Falcons, Seahawks, Jets, Titans, Commanders, Steelers, Bengals. That could possibly be one too. But the Bengals right now don't look like because their defense is just letting them down massively. So unless they also have a complete flip, but that one potentially could be not to, I guess, the division, because I'm guessing it would look like the Ravens would have it by then. But who knows? Like we said, it's a long season, but that's a divisional game. You have the Cardinals, Vikings, Rams, Saints, Bucks, Panthers, Eagles, Ravens is another one that they listed that they could possibly be looking at. 49ers, Bills. That could potentially be one, I feel like. But again, I feel like the 49ers right now are so banged up. We also just read that now their backup running back is injured too. So they're just having a whole lot of injury issues. So we'll see what the next few weeks look like for them. But of those, are there any that you would want to see on the outside of, let's just say outside of Jags, Texans, any of those that you think would be good for Monday night?
To me, and this is assuming that the Bengals don't turn it around, so leaving out the Steelers, Bengals, because the in division obviously is always great, but Chargers, Falcons could be a really sexy matchup at that point in time if obviously Justin Herbert is healthy and things are going well for them, because we've seen the Falcons have a lot of explosiveness this season. On
what are the Chargers, though? I think that's a question worth exploring. I also think the Falcons, I have seen them in prime time more through 5 weeks of the NFL season. The Chargers? Yeah. The Falcons I have seen in prime time more.
Chargers already had a bye, which is weird.
Yeah, and so did the Titans as well, by the way, which we'll get to them in our picks coming up in just a little bit. But I've seen more Falcons games in primetime in the last 5 weeks than I think I have in the last 5 to 10 years, or at least since they went to the Super Bowl, peak Matt Ryan era. And so I don't think you could possibly give them any more primetime. But hey, at this juncture, who would have thought that Kirko was like the #1 rating getter on all the networks? So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if that was the case. But I do think the Chargers have an interesting road ahead of them, obviously playing a last place schedule. They are at Denver this week. Again, a 3-2 Denver team that somehow, some way is 3-2 with Bo Nix as the starting quarterback. At Arizona, another frisky team. Home against New Orleans, started out so hot, obviously has kind of cratered since then. And then at Cleveland, which we've just illustrated all that. Oh, and then, by the way, home against Tennessee. And so they do have 4 very winnable games in front of them. But I think all 4 of those teams we just illustrated, maybe subtract the Cleveland Browns out of that equation, are teams that are right there hovering around 500, which is what gives me hope for the team in this town. If you can get to 3-4, there are going to be so many teams that are 3-4 by the time you're making your way back from London that you're right back in the thick of it all. And that's what I think the parity right now is so surprising, especially when you consider you could argue that the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-0 are the best team in the NFL. Maybe with all due respect to the 5-0 Minnesota Vikings, who I think actually are. Yeah. Because Patrick Mahomes has come out and said, we haven't even played that good.
Yeah. No, they did that last year, too.
I know.
They're so annoying.
I will say the Niners and Bills cannot play because it can't be a night game from that Sunday. So they have 3 rules. The NFL can only move a game that's being played between week 12 and 17. Only Sunday afternoon games that kick off at 1 or 4 can be moved to Monday. And if the league is going to utilize the flex scheduling, the decision has to be made 12 days in advance, too. So it's not like you can wait until the week before and say, okay, now it's a good matchup, let's change it.
Yeah, Cardinals-Vikings, because of the Vikings play so far, if the Cardinals are 2-3 right now, but if they're in the mix, that also,
another one,
that game kicks off at 1 o'clock, so that would be eligible. All right, we've got lunch for 2 on the ladies right now.
We do. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 4.
641-1010, call number 4. We've got our picks on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Let's start the debate. Why would someone buy a new car from you? We have an exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on every new vehicle. We offer a competitive wow price plus free oil changes. How much will someone get for their trade? We offer more than $4,000 over KBV value. Well, we never lose a trade over price. Okay, when is the best time to buy a car? Right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter which side you pick. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, you get it all. Let us show you why we're the winning vote.
Mia here. Have you been betting and winning at MyBookie.com? If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running the double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL. We are on to week 6 in the National Football League, and there are a ton of college matchups that run through the weekend. Get some skin in the game. You should certainly have your eye on that spread for Florida, Tennessee on Saturday night. And, of course, you know your hometown team plays the Bears in London Sunday morning. If you didn't hear us say it, the line has shifted once again. The Bears now 1.5-point favorites. If you think the Big Cats can win in London, bet it. Then the Surging Commanders play the Ravens, the Cowboys face the Lions, and for Sunday Night Football, the Bengals travel to the Big Apple to face the Giants. For a limited time, MyBookie still has the double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. That's promo code 1010XL. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and make your season a winning season.
Make a crucial catch against colon cancer. Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, the ball is in the red zone to get screened. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. 45 is the new 50. Get screened for colon cancer now. The Borland Groover Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Denny Thompson here. They're still growing. Tyson Sound and Security is looking to hire a master electrician. Are you or someone you know a master electrician with residential experience? Candidate will start at the industry's most competitive pay. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call to apply 762-1000. Tyson Sound and Security hiring a master electrician offering top-notch industry pay. Call to apply 762-1000. Equal opportunity employer.
Grab your lucky spot on the couch because traditions
Make Sunday easy to enjoy. Bud Light. Easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
It's a Monday morning must.
We actually found it!
Yes. Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Monday mornings at 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill on 1010XL.
Chelsea here. Florida homeowners, are your windows working as hard as they should? With Renewal by Andersen, our energy-efficient custom windows and doors help keep the cool air in during those scorching months. That means lower energy bills and a more comfortable home year-round. For the month of October, Renewal by Andersen has a limited time offer. Buy 4 windows and or patio doors and get the 5th one free. Some restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for all the details. That's bestwindowsflorida.com. License number CGC 1527613.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
In what building in the United States has its own zip code?
Does your homeowner's insurance company contact you before, during, or after a big storm? If not, then it's time for you to contact Southern Oak Insurance. Find us online at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The only building in the United States with its own zip code, the Empire State Building, a 102-story high-rise built in 1930.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram is trending toward a return on Sunday against the Bears. Ingram has missed the last 4 games with a hamstring injury, but in his place, second-year tight end Brenton Strange has caught 2 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. Jaguars offensive coordinator Press Taylor on the production from Brenton Strange.
We've always thought Brenton could be an impact player for our offense. You know, obviously he's behind another very good tight end in Evan, and Evan has taken advantage of his role. But yeah, Brenton's done a great job. He's proved that he can handle whatever workload comes each week.
Press Taylor on Brenton Strange. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Before we make our picks, you're probably going to want to hear this with regards to one of the 6 games that we will be picking live here on a Sunshine Turf Friday. The Tennessee Titans head coach Brian Callahan has announced that Will Levis is playing for the Titans on Sunday against the Colts, and he will be starting. Jeffrey Simmons will also be available for that game. In real time, ladies, I'm not even lying. I was about to come back as we get ready to make our picks and note that the Titans line had shifted to a 3-point spread in favor of Tennessee. It has now gone back down to 2.5 points in the 4 minutes since Brian Callahan announced who his starting quarterback would be.
Nothing gives you confidence as a quarterback like a line shifting down.
They're like,
when it's
oh, no, he's
announced the
playing.
Starting quarterback is going to be there. All right. With no further ado, let's get it to this week's picks. We've got, starting in college football, Penn State. There we go. Penn State at USC. Penn State, Nittany Lions, 3.5-point favorite. I will go first and tell you that USC is winning this game, even though I think Penn State, or at least covering, Penn State has better trenches, but there's something about the fact that Penn State has not traveled outside of Eastern Standard Time in 15 years. Traveling all the way to Lincoln Riley, a little bit of a hot seat for him, so I've got USC covering the 3.5. Mia?
Okay, I do as well, solely because I think that this is our James Franklin. Should he be fired? Is he on the hot seat? Is he a fraud? Is he just a good recruiter? We get one of these games every single year.
Usually multiple.
I also think for USC, coming off of just an abomination of a loss at Minnesota, the regression to the mean will occur this weekend. I do think there's outside hope. If you are a Drew Aller believer, if you are a Penn State fan, this is where you got to prove it to me. But I'm rolling with the Trojans.
Yeah, I'm going to go Penn State. I think because of those trenches, because of the front seven on Penn State's defense, I think later in the game they're going to be able to fully control that game late. And I do think that although USC's defense has gotten better, I just don't think it's anything really to write home about yet. So I'm going to go Penn State.
All right, then we get it to Ohio State at Oregon. Yes, this is a Big Ten game. Ohio State is favored by 3 on the road in Eugene. Taylor, start with you.
I'm going to say Ohio State. I think Will Howard's been really good in Chip Kelly's offense. He's been able to be super accurate, eliminating a lot of the major mistakes. I know he's had a few picks, but for the most part, he's been pretty accurate with the ball. I think Emeka Egbuka, is that how you say it? He was one of the guys that I talked about early in the offseason of being a guy to watch out for this season when it comes to those receiving yards and just some of the plays he can make on the ball. And I just think that is, in addition to the defense, that's probably the best, if not one of the best defenses in college football right now. So
Jeremiah Smith, too.
Yes,
he
Jeremiah
recently
Smith
said about himself and Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old Alabama, we're 2 of the best receivers in all the country, if not
and when
the
you have
best.
2 of them, that helps.
It certainly does, Mia.
You want to talk about trenches? This is a game where you can talk about trenches because not only does Ohio State have a capable offensive line, they have arguably 2 of the, top 3, top 5? Well, Ashton Genty exists. So I guess it's top 5 running backs in college football right now. Yeah. And that is where, for me, I watched the entire game last week in which, hey, credit to Iowa and their defense, which always is going to win them football games. That's water is wet. But ultimately in the second half, yes, Will Howard managed the game for the most part, but it came down to that run game. And once that starts hitting, and Jeremiah Smith he's down there somewhere, anything is possible. So while I've seen a lot of folks go +3 in favor of the Ducks across the country this week, give me the Buckeyes.
My head tells me to pick Ohio State. My heart tells me to take Oregon. So I'm going to take the home team and Dylan Gabriel. I am concerned that Oregon allowed so many rushing yards to Boise State with Gianti. But at the same time, you learn, you live and you learn. And so I just also hate Ohio State, so I'm not going to pick them.
I think much like I said with Drew Aller, this is, if Dylan Gabriel's going to win the Heisman, this is your moment, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Ohio State's only allowed 34 points in 5 games, and that's what made me go that way because I did have my moment of back and forth.
Ohio State's schedule, no offense to Iowa, but outside of that, Ohio State hasn't really played anyone. Oregon has, so certainly we'll see. I think that's going to be certainly one of the most fun games
for sure
in college football this Saturday. All right, Ole Miss at LSU. Mia, in the battle of 2 teams that I think probably hate each other at this point in time.
They do.
Because Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly, they're not the same vibe. Let's just say that.
Team Lane.
I've been doing a deep dive for our multimedia department, of course, working with our friends at ESPN Baton Rouge, and so perusing all of their content this week. I've never seen so much content about an opposing team as I have seen from them, just fixating on Ole Miss right now. Look, these are 2 teams that, yes, they go big fish hunting in the offseason, whether it's their head coach, whether it's the players they acquire in the portal, through traditional recruiting, through the high school ranks. But I don't know if either of them has a capable defense. I'm going to take Ole Miss -3.
I didn't know where you were going.
I know.
I didn't either. I honestly did. In the words of Michael Scott, words were coming out of my mouth. I didn't know where I was going to go because LSU is the home team. I don't know. At this juncture, I don't see Ole Miss heading into November with more than. Screw it. I'm going to take LSU.
All right, Taylor,
All
who
right,
you
she
got?
talked herself through that one. I'm going to say, okay, so the LSU offensive line has been really good. Nussmeier's only been sacked 2 times, but Ole Miss leads the nation with 24 sacks. I think this is the game where they're able to get some pressure on Nussmeier, and he's maybe facing something he hasn't seen this year. I also just think because of that, I think that LSU defense is exploitable, and Ole Miss will take advantage of that.
You also dislike Brian Kelly.
Yeah, screw him. And the LSU defense has allowed 117 yards per game on the ground. I think Ole Miss is going to take advantage of that and the LSU defense, so I'm going to say Ole Miss.
Wait, hold on. Are we rolling with this line at 3.5?
3. I've got Ole Miss favored by 3.
Okay. All right. Yes, you changed it. Okay. I was looking at the previous email. The line did shift from 3.5. Okay.
Yes. I sent a new email this morning.
Yes.
Because these lines change constantly.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to take, since so far today I've taken both home teams, I'm going to roll with the home teams. I'm going to go LSU. And I do think that I watched every second of that Ole Miss-Kentucky game. There's just something that's sputtering about the Ole Miss offense at times, and I thought it would be a lot better than that.
Let's go back to what we just said about the first 2 games we picked. The quarterback.
Yeah.
And for me, I think, with all due respect to Jackson Dart, who at times has been among the Heisman favorites, if you look at the numbers on the sports books throughout the course of the year, I have stood by Garrett Nussmeier, and I will continue to do so. The operation around him may have questions, but I do believe when all is said and done, his career in Baton Rouge will result in him being a top 3 quarterback in college football.
Look, this game is one that can determine the future of these 2 teams' trajectory as far as the college football playoff. And so, I mean, we've seen that with Georgia, Alabama so far this year. Didn't expect it with Alabama Vanderbilt, that's for sure. All right, let's switch it to the NFL. The Colts are taking on the Titans in Nashville. The Titans are 2.5-point favorites. That line was a little bit higher, and then it was announced that Will Levis will be the starting quarterback. For the Tennessee Titans, I will tell you I'm going to go with I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was going to say I'm going to go with my gut, but no, I'm going to take the Colts. I do think Anthony Richardson, coming off of a brief respite on the bench, is going to play better than Will Levis. So I've got the Colts. It's just, this one to me is so difficult because we know these teams so well, and they both have such glaring weaknesses.
I'm going to go with the Titans because while, yes, Will Levis is Will Levis. They've been a favorite throughout the course of the week, and I'm not so sure it's just because of some home cooking and being a home favorite. Jeffrey Simmons coming back is a huge deal for this Tennessee defense, which hasn't looked that awful. No. I mean, Taylor, you could speak to it more.
Been pretty good, actually.
Right, the front's pretty good, and this is a Colts offensive line that we saw last week. Lost another member in Will Freeze, who was placed on IR, and so give me the Titans.
Yeah, I'm going Titans too. Mainly, I just think that the Colts are missing way too many people. I think possibly no Jonathan Taylor or Michael Pittman hurts. They're missing the majority of their defensive line right now, and their secondary already sucks, and then now they keep losing more pieces to that. And I originally was like Mason Rudolph, and that's why, but I think even with Will Levis, they're going to be able to take advantage of the Colts.
All right, the Ravens play host to the Commanders. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites. Taylor, who you got?
I'm going to go Ravens. I think the Ravens have allowed the fewest rushing yards this season. Their rushing defense is really, really good. Their passing defense, not as much, but I do think that Washington, we mentioned earlier, kind of has this college-type offense, and they rely on their run very heavily, including from Jaden Daniels, and I don't think he's going to be able to move against the Ravens the way he has this season, so I'm going Baltimore.
Remember the conversation we had earlier about this looks like a 4-2 team or this looks like a 3-3 team?
Mm-hmm.
I just think the magic has to end for the Commanders at this juncture. And I also think, if we want to talk about what teams look like, win this one, and the Baltimore Ravens are 4-2. Remember when they started 0-2?
Yeah.
Give me the Birds.
Yeah, I think the Birds win this game. I think the Ravens do. But I think the Commanders can easily cover the 6.5.
Lauren, you've been on that Commander train. I applaud you. I was afraid to get on it once upon a time, but you have not wavered.
And finally, we've got the Jaguars taking on the Bears in London. The Bears are a 1.5-point favorite. Taylor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I'm just not picking. I really just think I'm going to take the loss because I don't want to. I can't. I truly don't know. I don't want to jinx or unjinx anybody, so I'm just going to take the loss on this one.
All right, opt out. Opt out. Taylor's -1 either way. I do want to note that I took the Bears on Duval rundown yesterday. At that juncture, the line was at 2.5. I do think the loss of Tyreek Stevenson, who is doubtful in case you're just joining us, for Sunday's game is massive. We also got word from High Tide on the South Side, one of our Heeligans, who, of course, with his lovely wife, went across the pond last year and promised us that he would come back with 2 wins. And he's there right now. He just texted the show on the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosures. They're having high tea at the British Museum right now. It's got me wanting to pick the Jags. With that said,
calm my butt.
You heard me say on the program when we made our picks last week that I wouldn't pick the Gators until they won. They won. I still picked against them, and guess what? They won. Let's try it again. I'll take the Bears.
And you can probably guess who I'm going with. I'll take the Jaguars. I do think the offense finally found something. The defense is still an absolute mess, but because they put such a mess on tape, hopefully they get things figured out. And look, at the end of the day, you are facing a rookie quarterback, so be able to affect him as much as you can, get him to get off the mark a little bit, even though he does have some talented weapons around him. That is, of course, Caleb Williams. All right, time now to cool down.
Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Our thanks to Courtney Cronin of ESPN. Our thanks to Nick De La Torre of On 3 for both joining us today. Nick, of course, as we alluded to, was a bit of an audible. We know with a young 2-month-old at home. He's been here, he's been there, he's been everywhere. But I will cool down with his comments that he remains steadfast in the belief that Billy Napier is coaching his final season in Gainesville. How many more games remain during that tenure? That remains to be seen. But I think his comments, let's be real, no one is as embedded with this team as Nick is. And his very pointed comments say to me it could be as soon as this weekend. We heard from our very own Matt Hayes multiple times over that the boosters, the collectives, everyone involved with the university has the money for that buyout. It'll be curious to see, knowing that it would drop in total number if Billy Napier was to coach out the string. It'll be curious if they hold on to him that long. But I also think that other game we just picked may or may not have a little bit of an influence on if the Gators were to part ways with Billy after this week.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Bears-Jags this weekend, both teams, as we mentioned a few times this week, both teams are kind of looking at the other team as they could win this. Both teams, the Bears are looking at it as this is a one-win team, that their defense is struggling mightily and their offense is just now starting to get going, but it was against a bad Colts team. And then now the Jags are looking at it in reverse of, okay, the Bears have had some moments, but it hasn't been against the best of opponents. You have a rookie quarterback that you need to take advantage of. So I think it is going to just be being each team kind of exploiting the weaknesses. And as the Bears just lost 2 pieces of their secondary. That was their better pieces. As I said earlier in the week, it may come down to the run when it comes to Tank. Now this is a chance for Trevor to take advantage of this secondary that's beat up and missing 2 very key pieces. So it is going to be, to me, like I said, just coming down to exploiting the biggest weaknesses on each side of the ball is what this game is going to come down to Sunday.
Another great weekend in college football. We didn't even pick Oklahoma, Texas, and we didn't pick Florida and Tennessee because the spreads are so big, but it's going to be a lot of fun. One person who doesn't have to stress this weekend, we'll say hello to him now.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
Leon, I love bye weeks in college football.
I do too.
Stress-free for you.
I've been stressed for the last 2 weeks.
For real. And up late.
Just chilling at 6-0.
Yeah, just chilling at 6-0. I can actually enjoy this weekend.
Especially with how good of a slate it is this weekend.
Yes.
I saw plenty of tweets circulating the internet of, if you're getting married or planning a wedding for this weekend, shame on you. Yes, I'm sorry if any of our Heeligans did. I will still say it, shame on you, because this is an elite schedule this Saturday afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. You got South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, come on now. You got Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Who thought that would be a good game? That's going to be a great game. I'm going to watch that one for sure.
Diego Pavia is a superstar.
He is.
And I loved his interview after the game with Alyssa Lang when he's like, I want to give all credit to God, glory to God. And then he immediately starts cussing.
Yeah, yeah. I love that kid. I love that kid.
This kid is just
But that's
a
also
great
why
guy.
we just, I just said we had Nick De La Torre on, Leon, and I said to him, look, I mean, everyone who's assuming Florida is about to get curb stomped, Vanderbilt,
absolutely,
2-touchdown dog. Granted, that was at home,
Mhm.
so you can't rule it out.
Can't rule it out. Absolutely. You can't.
Nope.
Are you? Who are you picking? Not to spoil your picks.
Florida, Tennessee.
Yeah.
The Lions
Taking
15.
the Vols. I don't think he's going to win by 15 though.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you think the Gators could
I
cover?
think they're going to fight. Yeah.
Okay, all
absolutely.
right.
Yes. Mhm.
How big of a game is it in London for the Jags?
It's a big game. The next 2 games are a big game, but this is a big game. The Jaguars showed a little promise last week with the Colts. I mean, but that is the Colts. So, I mean, the Bears' defense is a lot more prominent, especially up front. They get after it pretty good. I'm interested to see how this offensive line is going to play because they've had two weeks of back-to-back shutouts, which is impressive because that Buffalo game was embarrassing. So I was interested in how they were going to respond after that. And in the last 2 weeks, they responded well. And they're going to have to.
Yeah, absolutely. What's coming up?
Well, we got our picks as well. We're going to talk about the Jaguars' big London trip. And we're going to give 3 ways the Jaguars win this game and 3 ways how they can screw it up.
Okay.
Which list is longer?
Keeping it to 3. Keeping it to 3.
Keeping it to 3, absolutely.
All right, thanks, Leon. We'll be listening. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Everybody enjoy the football weekend. Thanks to our friends at Sunshine Turf for always sponsoring our Fridays. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Monday, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next.